Hello everyone, welcome back to Jordan Talks Football. PSG 1, Bayern 1, which means PSG win 6-5 on aggregate. Not the blockbuster finale that I was expecting after the first leg, but it looks like PSG managed to get the job done this time around, opting for perhaps a more counter-attacking defensive style of play in this match. But obviously they've got the job done and now they are in the final against Arsenal. Looking like we're going to have the ultimate attack versus defence finale for the Champions League coming pretty soon, I think. Is it in a month's time? It's going to be interesting to see how that match pans out, because obviously Arsenal with the best defence in Europe and PSG with arguably the best attack in Europe in terms of, at the very least, how they look. They look absolutely incredible when you watch them, don't they, in terms of their counter-attacking and the way that they split the lines and get in behind. It's going to be a fascinating game. That's for sure. Arsenal, obviously, an incredibly defensive team with a lot of negative reputation around them. Some of it, I think, is pretty justified. But overall, you cannot knock their defensive displays have been extremely solid this season, with the least amount of goals conceded in the whole of Europe. And then we've got PSG, who just seem like the absolute opposite. Still decent at defending, but their whole emphasis seeming to be on this man-to-man press all over the pitch, counter-attacking, winning the ball back, high pressing, high energy, and just in general, a gutsy performance, but much more on the attacking side than Arsenal, who are a much more defensive team, opting to score most of their goals from corners, throw-ins, and free kicks, from what I've seen at the very least. Arsenal, I think, were fortunate in their past game with Atletico to get away with it in terms of some of the decisions against them. There was a clear penalty / red card potentially on Gabriel when he had tackled the Atletico player from behind. And I've seen those given against people time and time again. There was also in this PSG game, interestingly enough, a handball, which seemed like an absolutely nailed on handball for the Champions League that wasn't given either, which was against, I believe it was against Vitinha, or it might have been against their other midfielder, I forget his name at the moment. But they literally blasted the ball straight against his hand, and it seemed as though it was a clear handball. And, you know, in the Champions League, they just give these handballs. If the ball hands up here and the ball hits it, no matter where you are or what's going on, they usually give them. So a very, very strange decision on that regard as well. But going back to the Arsenal game, I feel like they were incredibly lucky to get through the way that they did. There were probably 2 penalties against them that could have been given. And it could have been a completely different story for Arsenal. But they have managed to do it, get it over the line, and they are in the final against PSG. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think that PSG are going to win, or do you think Arsenal are going to be able to keep them out and maybe nick a goal at the other end and win maybe 1-0 or something like that? Obviously, last year, PSG won the Champions League final 5-0, which was a absolutely unbelievable game. Inter Milan, in the previous leg of that particular Champions League, had an incredible semi-final against Barcelona, which was 7-6 on aggregate, I think, in the end. Very similar to this PSG Bayern one. But then Inter Milan just couldn't put it together in the final against PSG, who basically absolutely ripped them to bits. And PSG's team is pretty much exactly the same as last season, minus Donnarumma. And honestly, if I'm being completely honest, and I am biased because I'm always biased against teams that play defensively for teams that play attacking football, I really just feel like Arsenal are not going to have enough to keep this PSG team at bay. I know everyone's going, oh, well, they beat Bayern in the group stage, but I think PSG are going to be a completely different kettle of fish for Arsenal, and I think that'll be too much for them, if I'm being completely honest. Arsenal are approaching a very, very, very critical junction of their season in the Premier League as well, and they have to win every game. Otherwise, I think Man City are going to catch them. Even though Man City drew their last game, I still feel like Arsenal have got it in them to really mess up and bottle a fixture. I think they've got to play Bournemouth, haven't they? I think Arsenal have got a few tough games at the end of the season. Man City have as well. But overall, Arsenal right now are going to be under a lot of pressure. And I just feel like this PSG team just looks so, so good. And they are still pretty damn good defensively as well, defending on corners and set pieces very well themselves. And they've got this real good breakaway tech in their team, haven't they? Kvaratskhelia is absolutely incredible. Dembele is bagging a goal every single time that I watch him play. Doué is just causing all kinds of problems as well. That front three, I think, they're going to cause some serious issues for Ben White and Lewis Skelly, or whoever plays for, probably Calafiori in reality, because Arteta loves to play with 4 centre-backs. But overall, guys, I really do feel like PSG are probably going to rip Arsenal to bits in this final, I've got to be honest. because we know that PSG have got the pedigree from last season now. They're growing as a European force in terms of football. They've got themselves over the line last season, and I can't imagine anything other than PSG doing it again, to be honest. Like I said, the pressure is going to be on Arsenal massively. Massively. Everyone is expecting Arsenal to do something this year, and I think the pressure, in my opinion, may end up being too much for them. We'll see if they manage to get it over the line, because obviously the Premier League will be pretty much decided by the time the Champions League comes around. I think we'll have basically 1 or 2 games left by the time the Champions League hits. If not, the Premier League will be done. I think if Arsenal can get it over the line in the Premier League, it's going to give them a lot of confidence going into that Champions League game. But obviously, if they do end up waning and flickering and end up losing pretty much the title to City, and then they have that Champions League game, it's going to completely destroy them mentally, I think. Arsenal have always, the whole time that I've been watching football, have basically always been a team of, bottling big chances. They did last season and the season before, arguably. They've had many chances to win trophies over the past 6-7 years, and that pretty much every single time they haven't been able to measure up to it. So can they measure up to it this time? It's going to be fascinating to see. But PSG are into the final. They looked absolutely incredible again yesterday with a really solid performance. Bayern pretty much threw everything at them, but they limited them to very few chances and still managed to score on the break. It took them till the 95th minute for Kane to score a goal, which was pretty impressive away from home as well. Obviously, the damage pretty much done in the first leg with the 1-goal advantage. Once they had the 2-goal advantage, they looked like they were happy to wind the game down, let the game slow down, and then just break on the counter, which is what they did really well. PSG versus Arsenal is going to be the final. And honestly, I think that PSG are probably going to take another Champions League trophy. I don't see how, with this manager, with the players that they have, I just don't think Arsenal are going to have enough. And like I say in all of my videos, in the end, I think positive mindset of going in to win football matches is always going to be, in the end, teams that set out just not to lose matches by being defensive. Teams that go out there trying to win the game usually end up winning the game in the long run. And I think in this final PSG-Arsenal, I think it's highly likely that Arsenal are probably in for a bit of a hiding from PSG. It may end up being close because Arsenal are good at defending, as I've said. But I think PSG, in my opinion, will probably have too much for them. Let me know your comments down below. As always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe. Do that YouTube stuff down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.